Welcome to the podcast Behind the Counter with your host, me, Heidi Blum, also known as the Food Czar. I was born and bred in Livingston, New Jersey, and I have seen firsthand over the past few years how food and the people behind the counter can bring a community together. We all have a story. We all have an appetite. Each episode will explore the thread between food, people, and community, and the stories that weave them all together. So let's get behind the counter and dig in. Here we go.
This is Behind the Counter.
Behind the counter.
With the Food Czar. Here's Heidi.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Counter with the Food Czar, which is me, Heidi Blum. And today I am surrounded by two very handsome gentlemen who happen to be the co-owners of Millburn Deli. And this, to me, may be my biggest get yet. I'm sitting with Andrew and Rich, who are co-owners of Millburn Deli. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for saying yes. This is like amazing for me. And by the way, I look like a hero to my children. So
Only moderately nerve-wracking.
thank you. So it is not.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Andrew's response to me when I said, when I asked him to do this was, I'm not very exciting. And I said, do not worry. It's just
He's not lying.
It's just us having a conversation. So let's start from the very beginning.
Sure.
Okay. Millburn Deli has been around since when?
The Millburn Deli that I am aware of has been around since 1946. That's the lore. That's the story. We have photos from the store as far back as 1946. There are records, apparently, that people from the Historical Society in Millburn have shared with me that go back as far as 1932. But I have no evidence other than a few Facebook comments to prove that. So we just use 1946 as the starting date.
And your family has been involved since when?
We took over in 91. The original owners, or the 1946 owners, owned it from 46, passed it down to his son. His name was Bert Jacobs, passed it down to Terry Jacobs, which was his son, in the late 80s. My understanding is that he wasn't super interested in running a sandwich shop, so eventually found my parents, who were in food and restaurants since the early 70s. And 91, they bought it, and it's all I've ever done.
What a good purchase, huh?
Yeah, I think it came from the story my dad always told me was that he'd owned, I think, 3 different restaurants over the course of 25 years. When he found this place was for sale, he drove and watched him from the street, and I think he realized that the number of people that were walking in and out over the course of a day was far more than he would ever be able to get turning tables.
Sure.
So he thought he would rather do something where he could have folks in for 10 minutes than 2 hours. Sold his restaurant, used the money to buy this, and
The rest is history.
the rest, I knew you were, the
Yep,
rest is
that's
history.
so easy to say. Are you from Millburn?
I am not. I feel like I should be from Millburn because I spend more time here than in my home, but I'm from Basking Ridge.
Okay, but you grew up coming. I mean, I don't even know your age, so I'm just going to assume. I'm going to assume that you grew up coming here because your parents owned it.
Not just coming here, working here. I mean, basically from the day they bought it, I was enlisted to participate with the family. So yes, this is, even when I was in school, they would pick me up after school was out, drive me here, and I would work. So from the minute they bought this place, I have been here as much as they have.
And the idea was always that you would take it over, or not really. Like, did you go to college for?
The idea for them was that I would take it over.
Yeah.
My idea was that I would do literally anything but this. So yes.
And here we are today.
Right.
Yeah.
I went to college. I did my undergrad at Rutgers. I graduated. I kind of realized I graduated with a degree that I couldn't really do much with, which was like English. So then I decided I would go back and get my MBA. I did that at Rutgers as well, with the intention of going into the New York business world, wear a suit. Graduated, worked here, of course, in the interim to pay tuition. And then started going on interviews in the suit and tie, and I think it was my second or third interview where I was like, I can't fucking do this. Like,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
just
blame
not a suit
you.
and tie guy.
So, Rich, where do you come into the picture?
So, a mutual friend of ours introduced us about 7 years ago, 2017. He'd been talking to Andrew about expanding for a long time, and Andrew, I guess, was a quintessential person of just somebody who worked kind of in their business for so long, not on their business. It's a busy place, and so for him and his mom, always being on the floor was necessary to running the place.
Sure.
And so when I first got involved, it was really on a consulting basis just to come in and help get him off the floor. And I remember the first day walking in, I was supposed to meet him on a Friday morning, and he was dumping ice like by the coffee station and wiping down the coffee and filling the coffee cups. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have anybody else that could possibly do this. And we proceeded to spend the next 6 months changing everything from putting in a whole inventory system to a whole back office financial system to getting him off the floor. And so it just became kind of Fridays off the floor, and it just somewhat kind of evolved. And
Actually, like, at that time is really when everything probably started changing technology-wise in terms of how you ran a business, right? Point of sale systems. And I don't know when DoorDash and all those things were starting, but just incorporating that where your staff needs were probably different, especially as you're going to expand, right?
so 2017 was when we first signed with DoorDash, 17?
Yes.
And for us, I can't speak for other places. It was just instantaneously busy on DoorDash.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, for people to not drive here, find a parking spot, right? I mean, that to me is...
So it's funny. We had tried. There was a local delivery service, I think, based in West Orange, and they essentially rented you drivers before DoorDash, before the age of DoorDash.
Yeah, Livingston had a system too. It was like, I forget what it was called, but yeah.
Yeah, and we tried it, and we found very quickly, I think we would rent 2 or 3 drivers, and all of a sudden you have this demand. You have the high school kids, who can't leave campus ordering delivery, and 2 or 3 drivers. Now where people are calling, you're like, it's going to be 2 hours to get a delivery. So there's almost no point in having it. So we realized very quickly that, like, if we were ever going to do delivery, we weren't going to be able to do it in a way with just 2, 3, 4 drivers. Like, the demand was such, again, knock on wood, and I'm grateful for it, but that having just a couple drivers wouldn't work. So I remember when DoorDash approached us and they explained the model to us. This was when they were still going in person, door to door, showed up here and offered basically to give us unlimited drivers for, I think it was 20% of every order.
Yeah.
It sounded too good to be true. We signed up, and, I think to this day we are one of DoorDash's. As we've expanded, it's diminished a bit because when you're a single unit, they give you metrics that tell you,
Sure.
hey, you're the top performer for a single location unit in the entire country, which for a small deli in Millburn, we were like, wow, that's amazing.
So you expanded into Westfield, Montclair, and Morristown.
So Morristown was first, and going back to 2017, they had put a restaurant in the middle that was a brunch and a little cafe place.
Okay.
So the 2 buildings on the side, the middle part was converted to a restaurant, and the seating area, which was generally for all the customers of the deli,
Yep.
was converted to just basically like a brunch place. So you couldn't sit in there anymore and eat your sandwiches. It was only if you were ordering like pancakes or piadinas or kind of specialty sandwiches.
Right.
And people that were buying sandwiches were getting incredibly frustrated because they couldn't sit here anymore, like in the deli. I mean, on the side. And so that we talked about it, and we looked at the numbers and realized that, we're killing the proverbial golden goose by not letting people sit there. And so the restaurant was shut down within a couple of months
Right.
of them opening it, and we converted it. This is the time that DoorDash got very busy into really just takeout.
Yeah. Which
Because
is
we
brilliant, by the way.
It was honestly just luck. I wish we could say we had some brilliant strategy. We closed the restaurant down, and we suddenly had this fully built out kitchen that we had no idea what to do with. And so we decided we would move all of our phone orders, online orders, and delivery orders into that building. And to lead into what you're talking about, the expansion, COVID comes, all of a sudden everybody's kind of doing that. They're trying to orient their business for just the takeout, pick up a bag and go. We felt like we were luckily positioned for that. And we took that model and said, rather than try and recreate the entire Millburn deli with the big deli case and the full menu walls, let's just create that middle section where it's just to go, because it's a smaller footprint. We think it's where the industry is moving anyway. And we opened the Morristown location, which Rich said was our first, August of 2020. So like 4 months into the pandemic. And it looks like we were geniuses.
Yeah.
When the truth is,
It was just dumb luck.
it was just dumb luck.
Yeah.
I mean, we took a shot. The world changed, and now we've tried to create a little bit more of a hybrid model with the new locations because things have returned a little bit more to normal, but it is still very much a takeout world.
And it's funny because even though it's Millburn Deli, it's your name, it's your brand. So it translates into another town very easily. Did you find that, or?
So I think the short answer is yes. I mean, it's challenging in the sense that we're a complex operation.
Yeah.
If you look at the other sandwich shops, Jersey Mike's or Firehouse Subs or Jimmy John's, they have limited menus. And for us, 60 plus sandwiches, and it's a complex thing to maintain quality and consistency in other locations.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest challenge for us is how do you kind of maintain who you are while still kind of growing,
Yeah.
losing who you are, but making it so people can learn it.
And saying it's Millburn Deli in Westfield, and Millburn Deli in Morristown, and Millburn Deli in, yeah.
We had originally kicked around the idea of going into each town and calling it
Westfield,
Morristown
yeah.
Deli, Westfield Deli, or
Yeah.
Millburn Deli of Westfield. And actually, the brand name being a town presents some issues. Like, we're looking into trademarking things, and they're like, well, you can't trademark a town. So we have to do some workarounds, but ultimately, we felt like if we did that, we didn't know people would recognize it as Millburn Deli. And
Yeah.
if I've learned anything from the internet, it's that you got to maintain the brand. So using Millburn Deli just felt right.
So let's talk about the brand for a second. How did Millburn Deli become Millburn Deli? Meaning, people are obsessed. Like, my kids are obsessed. I think we may single-handedly could be your biggest order on like visiting day at camp.
Well, I would just add, I'm a customer long before. I mean, I've been in town for 20 plus years. And
Yeah.
my entire family have been customers of here. And so for me, coming full circle and getting an opportunity to do something with something that I've loved for so many years,
Yeah.
super, super lucky.
I mean, I remember coming here with my dad to pick up sandwiches, but I feel like the sandwiches, like the evolution of your menu, let's say, it started off as just like regular sandwiches, like every other sandwich shop starts off as. But Sloppy Joe's was obviously a big part of that. As we know, Town Hall says they're the creator. Do you agree with that?
I don't know that. Sure. I honestly have no idea what the history is. Yeah, sure. They're the inventor. I mean, I think, look, it's funny because everybody tries to pit us against each other. And I know.
I would never.
No,
I'm
no.
just asking. And everyone does it differently because I did a Sloppy Joe throwdown with Millburn Deli,
Okay.
Nana's Deli, Livingston Bagel, and Town Hall Deli. When I say throwdown, we just had people vote in
Sure.
our Facebook group. But, Town Hall Deli and Millburn Deli were the top, of course.
Sure. I look at it like Coke and Pepsi. I've always said this because when people are like, are you better than Town? It's a preference. If you grew up in Millburn, you probably prefer ours. If you grew up in South Orange, you probably prefer theirs. Do I think ours are better? Of course. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think we made the best ones. But
He won't say this, but I'll echo what Jersey Monthly said, is that they may have invented it, but we perfected it.
Okay. See, now we're on to something. I love it. Yeah.
But I think to answer your question before, it was like, how did Millburn Deli come to be Millburn Deli? The truth is, I think one thing that my parents were very good at when they were doing this and building this when I was a kid was involving the customers in the experience. For example, everybody always asks, like, how did the gobbler thing come to be?
I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
And the truth is, it's an incredibly boring story. Like, we used to not have a steam table, so we would have to pre-portion the stuffing, keep it refrigerated, and if somebody ordered a gobbler, you would have to throw stuffing in the microwave to warm up that part of the sandwich. As we got busier and people were ordering more of them, instead of yelling for stuffing, they'd yell gobbler, meaning the person would know to throw in stuffing. Eventually, we were yelling gobbler so often that the person whose job it was would tune it out. So then a horn got involved. And as soon as we actually got a steam table and the stuffing was always warm and we stopped doing it, customers would come in and be like, how come nobody's yelling gobbler anymore?
My kids asked me if you were going to blow the horn during the podcast. So I'm just throwing that out there.
If I had it, I would. It's actually in the other office. But you joke, but it's actually something we do now in interviews when we're interviewing staff, because it's such a part of the fabric of who we are at this point that if you're too shy or you're too embarrassed or you think it's corny or you can't yell gobbler as an employee, then we want to know that in the interview because you probably you're not going to fit in. So just involving the customers and in helping build those traditions and things they find fun. So even when it came to building new sandwiches or getting things on the menu, it's not like any of us were master chefs who came up with these ideas. It was an iterative process where we'd be busy on a Saturday. My dad, my mom, me would have an idea for a sandwich. We'd make it, put it on the counter. While the people were waiting, they'd try it. You get instant feedback. Is it good? Is it bad? What's wrong? Too much this, too much that. Next Saturday, you put out another iteration of that sandwich, and after 4 weeks, you try it on the menu, and you just keep going. And so it was it was an iterative process building the menu. Like you involve the customers, and I think they start to feel a little bit of ownership. I mean, then it goes to like even The Godfather. I'm sure.
I was just gonna ask how that came to be, because that in my house, or actually at my kids' camp, this is. I mean, I could bring a U-Haul up of Godfathers. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah.
So The Godfather was a sandwich that wasn't developed by anyone who works at Millburn Deli. It was developed by an 8th grade Millburn Middle School student boy named Danny Brenner.
No way.
Yeah, he totally and it's a good story because he would come in every day with his group of friends, and at the time, like I was still on the board making sandwiches, and he would come in all the time and order it, not as a name sandwich. I want chicken cutlet, mozzarella, and we would always tease him because we were always so interactive and say that's horrible, that's disgusting. Why are you ordering that? And just give him a hard time.
It's a chicken cutlet.
Yep, fried chicken cutlet. Fresh mozzarella, bacon, the homemade Russian dressing on a sub roll, and then you press the whole thing.
So good.
And so we would bust his chops, and he would always say, "You have to name the sandwich. You have to put it on your menu. You have to put it on your menu." So we don't do that. We don't do that. Came to a point where there was another guy who used to work here. I guess he played Xbox, Halo. I'm not a gamer myself, so I'm not terribly familiar. But I know we finally said, "Look, if you can beat this kid tonight on Halo, we're going to put your thing on the menu for a week." He beats the kid in the game. We honor the agreement. We're going to write up a little handwritten sign, put it on the thing. But if it doesn't sell, kid, like
it's out of here.
Right? We're not keeping it. We're not doing this forever just for charity. And I will say that Danny, because he still comes here, his family still comes here, went out of his way to bring. He must have been a popular kid because he brought every one of his friends, everybody he could think of, every day. And in that week, we sold so many goddamn Godfathers that we were like,
way.
Yeah, and we're like, we can't take it off the menu. And so that was at this point 15, 20 years
I was going to
ago.
say, where's Danny Brenner now?
We still communicate. So Danny Brenner actually just graduated med school, and he's going to be a neurosurgeon.
What?
And what do you say his greatest accomplishment?
And so, yeah, he posted,
On his resume, his greatest accomplishment is naming The Godfather.
Yes.
Did he name it?
Yes. So that was I left that part out. That was his gamer tag on Xbox.
No.
Was The Godfather. So when we said, okay, what are you naming it? He said, well, since I beat him in Halo and my gamer tag is The Godfather, call it The Godfather.
That's I love that. That's incredible.
So it's like one of those things, again, where involving people is contributing to our success because our most popular single sandwich is not even something we came up with.
What about the J-Ray?
The J-Ray is essentially an iteration of The Godfather. If you think about it, it's just a different cheese and different sauce. It's still got chicken cutlet, bacon, cheese, sauce, and dressing. I think it was actually an employee who worked here who modified The Godfather to his liking.
Yeah, and was his name Jay?
It was actually. It was Juan.
That was
Really?
Yeah.
That's too easy, right?
It's kind of a joke because at the time there were two employees. One's name was Juan, one was Paris, and they both claimed they invented it. So they would argue, and when people order it, they'd call it the P-Ray or the J-Ray.
Oh, that's really funny.
But the J-Ray won out because we liked Juan better.
But I do want to. One of the things you asked is like, how did the Millburn Deli become the Millburn Deli?
Yeah.
Earlier, and when I got here in 2017, I think one of the things that I don't think that Andrew would take credit for per se is, and it's kind of grown over time, is that they had a system that was built for speed long before anybody else was doing that. So
when you say speed, like getting sandwiches out quick, getting orders out quickly.
And so if you go to most places, you order with somebody, they're the ones who cut the meats and they're the ones who do everything. And you do one at a time and it takes forever.
Yeah.
And you'd come here and there'd be 70 people downstairs, but you wouldn't wait more than 15 minutes. They developed an entire system of runners and setup people where the sandwich makers themselves could stay at their station and everybody would get all the setups and it would just move things. And it was always so incredible when COVID happened. Everybody went towards this whole ghost kitchen dark model.
Yeah.
We'd been doing that for years.
It's
And
so
again,
interesting.
It's just dumb luck, but that's what it was set up by them to do. And to his father's point is like get people in and out quickly, and this system is what did it. And so we replicate that at every location now.
It's interesting because if you do come here and order a sandwich, it is like a dance. The way it goes from your order and watching the guys who are making it, it is like there's a rhythm. There's just a rhythm to it.
But that's the challenge because as we grow and in some of our locations, 55% of our business is now delivery, you lose that dance. You lose that connection with the guest. And yes, when you're in here and people are screaming gobbler and it's busy and they're honking the horns and everybody's around and you're seeing your friends, it passes the time. When you order now with the app or you order online or order delivery, like So finding creative ways to connect with the guests when they're not necessarily getting that kind of in-store experience has been challenging.
And I'm sure for the guys who are working in the store, they want that connection. That's part of the fun of it for them too.
Yeah, I think so, 100%. Again, I think it's one of those things that we didn't realize along the way that became part of the show. You know, when because it's not just the gobbler. You know, it's like because of the runner system, people are saying, you know, hey, I need a steak escape setup. I need a this setup. They're calling different things, and so as you're kind of standing there, to your point, yeah, I think one of the benefits of bringing Rich in was that, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is literally the only thing I've ever done. So I think when you're in it so much every day, it's sometimes difficult to see the forest for the trees. So, like you would say to me, "Oh, it's so interesting watching the dance," and I would just think, "What do you mean? Like that's just the job? Like how is that entertaining?" But when Rich comes in and I'm able to step back and watch, and you know, that 15 minutes you're waiting could seem like an hour if it was dead silent and there was no music and there was no entertainment, or it could seem like this if you're kind of entertained while you're watching. And it's like being in a kitchen kind of and watching chefs work in that way.
Here's like an example I want to ask you about. Like whoever does your Instagram is so good because they always show people's orders, you know, like those funny.
That's all Andrew.
Oh, those funny orders. Like the other day, someone ordered, it was like 25 drinks.
Yes.
And you don't know, you know, is it a mistake? Is it not? Like when they order and it's like they ask for every kind of cheese on a sandwich.
And Andrew started posting fouls a couple of years ago and it was like, you know, every kind of cheese and every dressing, red wine vinegar and like lemon Dijon and Chipotle. We're just like, how high is this human being? Because it doesn't even make any sense.
It's so funny. So, I mean, but you have to honor the order.
Of course. And like, so again, this goes back to what I think Rich was alluding to earlier, which is how do you recreate the experience? And I know, like when I was on the floor and the folks that I would hire and work with, we like to have fun with guests that way. And so if somebody would order something like that, you might make kind of a funny comment or be like, are you sure that's what you want? And whatever it might be. And so how do you recreate that? And I think as part of social media, once people could order online, all of those embarrassments about what you might like disappear because you don't have to see the guy you're ordering with. And as I was getting these orders, I'm like, this is like, people would find this great. Like people wouldn't believe this is real. And look, I think the truth is that even I sometimes don't believe it's real. So like, we'll call and be like, hey, we're just making sure you didn't misclick.
Yeah.
It got to the point, you're going to laugh. I'll tell you a story about literally happened yesterday. That we were like, you know what? There's no point in calling. Like these people know what they're ordering. They're doing it on purpose. Like, so just don't call. Like just make the order the way it is. And 99% of the time that works out great.
This happened yesterday.
Yesterday,
okay.
We have a sandwich called the Miami Vice. It's black forest ham, cheddar cheese, sauteed onions, apple slices, and Russian dressing on rye bread, and then it gets grilled.
It's a great name.
Thank you. I came up with it myself.
Oh, so good.
He hated it.
That's true.
The order comes through from DoorDash, and it says no meat, no cheese, no onions, no dressing.
So it's just the
apples on bread grilled. And you know what? It was actually so extreme. We said to ourselves, we better call because who fucking is ordering apples on bread grilled? It doesn't make sense. So we called, no answer. We make it, we send it out. Sure enough, the guest calls. Why would you send me such a ridiculous sandwich?
Oh my God.
And claims that DoorDash was look, whatever the case may be, we get sandwiches like that occasionally where stuff like that happens and it's outlandish. But you know, they contact DoorDash, they get delivery. It's fine. But of course, the one time we can't get a hold of somebody, it's actually.
Hold on. If Rich doesn't like the Miami Vice, which I think is a great name, have you created your own sandwich on the menu?
Oh yeah, come on, you name some.
Yeah, let's hear some.
Which ones did I name?
Kazoo.
The Kazoo's grinder.
The
Mac Daddy.
It's not on the menu.
But it's not on the menu anymore. That was macaroni and cheese on a cutlet with marinara sauce.
Oh,
which was amazing.
That sounds amazing.
My daughter created a sandwich called the WTF, the What the Focaccia.
Oh, that's funny.
Which I thought was cute.
That's cute.
Didn't last all that. How about this sandwich that somebody ordered? On a sub roll. Oh, and please press it on the panini. I need egg salad, turkey salad, smoked Gouda, honey mustard, garlic, mayo, olive oil, extra condiments, avocado, bacon, and red onion.
Oh my.
And Andrew just wrote, I'm calling the cops.
That's hysterical.
But listen, if that's what people want, I think, again, one of the things that I like about us as a business is that you can get that. You know, if you happen to have what I would consider weird taste buds, we can do that. You know, if you're willing to pay for it, we're willing to make it.
Do the other locations have the same exact menu as here?
Nearly identical. I think there will always be some legacy things we have in Millburn. Like, for example, egg salad is one.
Yeah.
Like, we tried when we opened the other stores, and you end up making it and throwing it out, making it and throwing
Oh,
it out.
why people don't eat egg salad
It's
as
just
much?
it's not a
Not
big
a thing
But
anymore.
we keep it here because we have, are you familiar with the Friday Joe and the Friday Special?
Of course.
So it's still a popular enough thing here that we maintain it for that.
Explain what that is so people know.
So it's basically a sloppy Joe for Catholics Friday. So it has tuna and egg salad. The Joe is tuna, egg salad, coleslaw Russian on 3 pieces of rye. The special, don't ask me where the differentiation came in. This existed when we bought it. It's just tuna and egg salad with lettuce and Russian. So the lettuce instead of the coleslaw.
And that's different than a Dairy Joe.
Dairy Joe is we don't technically have that on the menu, but
That is like it is like a Dairy Joe, but I think a Dairy Joe is just tuna. I think it's just tuna and egg salad and the bread.
I don't know, but I know we can always tell like OG legacy people if they come in
And they order
like a
it,
Friday,
yeah.
Because
Well, when I first got here, somebody had we were on TV and it was the best thing I ever ate.
Oh yeah.
And she picked like the Friday Joe. And like, of all things to like promote to the country.
That's not the sandwich you would have picked.
No.
Yeah.
Fanny Slater. She's still calling.
What's your favorite sandwich?
Chicken nuggets.
It changes. I'm gonna say, right now I'll go with the Buffalo Big Bird, and I'll say that because that's.
Guess what? That's my son's also.
I have a 14-year-old son now.
He's 14. That's so funny.
Yep.
That's his favorite sandwich.
Has
We were
become
talking
his
about it
favorite.
last night. Yeah.
No onions, but other than that.
And I'm Godfather with pesto, not Russian.
Ooh. There's no godmother, is there?
Yes.
Oh.
There is.
The Godmother is just a Godfather, but with grilled chicken instead.
Oh, someone had said it to me, but it's not on the menu.
And Buffalo Little Bird is the same thing as Buffalo Big Bird, but with grilled chicken.
Oh, see that, people?
It's
Buffalo
only-
Little Bird.
It's only on the menu in as much as you can order it on the app or DoorDash, but it's not like on our paper menus, or you can't look at it on our how do I say it?
If you know, you know.
Right, like if you're
Yeah.
if you're on the app, you can find it. If you're on DoorDash, you can find it, but you won't find it listed on our menu boards anywhere though.
I think Millburn Deli is like one of those places. It's a big, if you know, you know. You know, like my kids' friends who are from Long Island or wherever they are when they're up at camp, if they're getting Millburn Deli, they're like pumped.
So part of our expansion strategy is to go after places like Westchester.
Yeah.
Where they would certainly know of us. And Long Island's tough to get to because of the traffic, but someday.
So do you think that's your next location?
I think so. Currently, we have negotiations on a location in Paramus, Bridgewater, Jersey City.
But that's exciting. So when do you think? So Paramus, Bridgewater, where'd you say? Jersey City?
Jersey City.
So is there like a rollout plan for that?
If I had to tell you today, it would be Jersey City would be first.
Yeah.
Probably start sometime around July in terms of construction.
So you have a location already.
So we have leases out. We're just finishing negotiations.
Wow, that's exciting.
Not good.
What's the goal? What's the end goal?
World domination.
It's a lot of table knocking, by the way, by these boys here.
Always.
Yeah.
I think
Very superstitious.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think 50 locations is the first goal.
50 outside of New Jersey and New York area, Florida.
Florida, we actually do get requests from Florida. We had some business guys from Chicago call us. They wanted to fund a location in Chicago. But yes, Rich says 50. My mantra is always just one more.
Yep.
Because the
It's
way I look
scary.
at it, it's yeah, of course, it's terrifying. I also look at it as, and Rich does as well, but there's a few things that differentiate us. One is our variety. I hope one is our service. I hope it's the quality and the taste of the food. And those are very difficult things to maintain at scale.
Yeah.
So, that's why there's always these mom and pops or one or two shops that do these things really well. I know there's a place in South Jersey, Talercio's, I think, that people talk about.
Yep.
That talk about similar to the way I feel like they often talk about us. But, no one talks about loving Jimmy John's, the way that someone might say, I love my local deli.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like getting one more and getting it right with the ultimate goal of, I'll basically do this until I die because it's the only thing I know.
It's all you got, yeah.
Right. I mean, and look, at the end of the day, while I was younger, I think sometimes you don't know you have until it's might be gone. And I think I've come to realize that I love it,
Yeah, and I'd say when we started.
You're saying that, so hold on, you're saying that with such a questionable look on your face. Like, do you love it?
Again,
Or are you afraid to say you love it? Or like you're not sure if you love it?
Oh boy.
No.
I know it's such a loaded question, by the way.
Yeah, good thing I have therapy to a degree.
This is your therapy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've gone through phases in my life. You know, when my parents were forcing me to do it, I came to hate it because I felt like I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to go get an internship, during my summer in college. And they were like, no, you're going to help the family business.
Yeah.
And so I started to hate it. And then I think when I got to start doing my own thing here and was a little bit more in control, I started to love it again. And then when it became a job and I wanted to do more and I was stuck on the floor, I started to hate it. Then we brought Rich in, and I've been able to focus on aspects of the business that I love. And so the short answer is yes, I love it. But that love comes along with a lot of sleepless nights and anxiety and worrying about things in your business, because Rich and I joke, when I retire, I'm talking a lot, more than I thought I would talk today.
I knew it. I knew it, by the way.
I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be called How Hard Is It to Make a Fucking Sandwich? Because every once in a while we get something wrong and a guest is really upset, we'll get that line. You know, how hard is it to make my fucking sandwich right? Or something along those lines.
That's so Jersey, by the way. Yeah.
And you know what? The truth is it's really fucking hard. It's really fucking hard because you have a list of dozens and dozens of ingredients, especially for us, like 12 different bread options, 20 different dressing options, all the different produce, all the prep that goes into it. And so from the minute you place an order to making sure you get the products, it's prepped right, the quality's right, to getting the order right for the guests, getting it out the door in a way that's presentable, actually is pretty fucking hard. So, like, sometimes when people say that, like, I think if only they knew what actually went into this. My favorite thing in the world is when people jump into this business who've never been into food and fail miserably, because I feel like it's such an insult to people who have done it their whole lives, who think like, oh, it's just so cute. How hard could making sandwiches be? Well, it turns out it's pretty fucking hard.
It's a really hard business.
And I would tell you, like, watching him over the past 7 years definitely is a switch when we got to focus on the business of the business, as opposed to working in the business. So once you start working on the business and you become strategic, and it's about technology and about marketing and about all those sort of things that are...
Those are the things that get left behind when you're on the floor.
And you can't see it. And I think when he's forced to be on the floor, I think it takes him back to the time where he's like, I have to be here, as opposed to now I get to do sort of the fun thing, strategic part. But I would say, too, I would just add that you only hear the loudest voices. And when again, I'm not from the food business. And so for me, turns out I love hospitality. I love the business of the business. But it is exhausting when you hear people telling you how much you suck all the time. and by the way,
it's such a beatdown.
People are here at 5 o'clock in the morning, but people don't think twice about telling you that they wish your whole family drives off a cliff because your sandwich sucks.
Isn't it incredible what sets people off? Like it sets them off. It's like it gives them an excuse to be triggered.
Yes, and as somebody who's been in this business, I'll say it over and over. Something has changed since COVID. Like, you always got the rare guest who was kind of out there or really got overly upset about something. But something since COVID has happened. I wish I could put my finger on it.
More impatient.
But people have far less patience and
less forgiving.
Like,
you'd think actually people would be more forgiving, more patient, more grateful, more all of that, right? I mean, isn't that like what we were supposed to learn from the pandemic?
I would have thought, but again, like, some of the most brutal reviews we get are the ones where it starts off, and because I have one in mind as I'm sitting here talking to you, where this woman wrote, like, I've been going to Millburn Deli for 30 years, and it's always been amazing. Today I went, and there wasn't enough roast beef on my sandwich. 1 star. And I'm like, on one hand, it breaks my heart, because I'm just like, wait a minute, we got everything right for 30 years, and there was no 5-star review?
Right.
But we made a mistake because we're businesses make mistakes, and we make mistakes, and we fuck up, and we should fix it when we do.
So you do read reviews?
It depends. Like, we go through periods where we have to sit down and go through a bunch of them, but you really, truly only hear
the bad ones.
People that hate you.
Yeah, because people, when they get mad and they're not heard, quote unquote, they'll go to Yelp or they'll go to Google and they'll put it in.
Yes.
And they don't realize how it can actually destroy a business. Like, your one review because you're pissed can ruin a reputation.
It lives online forever.
Yeah.
Like, if you were mad in the moment, it lives online forever.
Yeah.
But for me, speaking a little personally, I was raised, my parents in this business were always the people who focus on what's wrong, not what's right.
Yeah.
Because what's right is right, is great. You need to fix what's wrong. I have adopted that for better or worse. And so if I get 100 5-star reviews, I look at them, I go, cool, that's great, that's nice. And then I see the 1-star review and it will consume my life for days because one, is there actionable feedback here? Is there something we really fucked up that we can fix?
Sure.
Or two, is it just somebody who's really upset? And then it still eats at me because it's like, damn, like I was never given a shot to fix this for that person or anything.
I was gonna say, I think most restaurant owners feel the same way as you do, but I think I would give a plea to anyone that's listening. If you ever have a problem, go to the source. Don't go to the review. Just go to the owner or the staff. They will be happy to fix it if you ask nicely and explain your frustration. Am I right?
Yeah, and if you don't like it, just don't go back.
Yeah.
Why do you have to warn the world? You have 100 people that work someplace, and it's like, don't ever go to this place because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, just don't go. Plenty of places that I haven't liked, just don't go back.
And you know what's interesting is like it could ruin a reputation of a restaurant, which means they could be in jeopardy of closing down, which means all the staff that you employ are in jeopardy of losing their jobs. I mean, it's just the trickle effect can be huge.
Yes, and I think to your point, every place who's in business is in business because they want to help people, they want to do good for people, they want to serve. They're in hospitality for a reason.
Correct.
They want to make people happy.
Yeah.
And so we are human beings. Human beings work for us. We are going to make mistakes. I promise you. Every business I've ever known wants to get it right. If we've made a mistake, we want to fix it. We can't fix what we don't know about. If your first time hearing about it is reading it in a review and I have no way of even contacting you, how am I supposed to make it right for you? Like,
Yeah.
I've never been given the opportunity. And yes, once it's on the internet, it's like even if that guest comes in the next time and forgets about it and has every great experience thereafter, that review still lives there.
Yeah.
Like it's still there. They forgot
Unless
about
they
it.
delete it.
Unless they delete it, which
and they never ever delete it.
Of course not. Let's switch gears for a minute and talk about the big April Fool's joke that was before April Fool's Day of 2024. Shall we?
We shall.
I think we have to cover it. So for those of you who don't know, which I would think would be no one because it was like lit up social media, is there was an announcement from Millburn Deli, and it was I think it was like March 30th.
day before.
So we were talking about doing some fun things with our social media company. And Andrew, we were just talking about something else, and he's like, wouldn't it be funny if we announced that Jersey Mike's bought us? And I'm like, that's fucking brilliant. Like, I love that. That is like truly the best idea. And so went to the social media company, and they crafted what I think is a really incredibly well-written.
It was incredible.
And very authentic press release about getting purchased.
With Jersey Mike's logo.
Yes, with Jersey Mike's logo.
Yes, and look, for reference, we do something for April Fools every year, and it never goes anywhere. You get like 5 people who are like, her, funny, you're not closing, something like that. So yes, we thought post it a day early, maybe people will believe it a little more, and then the next day we'll post the gotcha. It was Easter Sunday. Big mistake, I think, for both of us socially, because Sundays are the days that the one day a week we tend to take off, and the delis were closed anyway on Easter Sunday. But we posted it, and it blew up. Like everyone from our lawyers to like our lawyer called us, was like, I can't believe you didn't involve us in this transaction. Like people were calling Rich and congratulating him. Someone texted me and was like, where am I retiring to? And my wife, who basically gets me home once a week, was like, are you kidding me? Like now you're going to spend your one day off dealing with deli stuff all day? Like, and my point was like, I had no idea that people were going to believe it. I didn't really think.
It was crazy. I had just landed on vacation and my phone was blown up. They're like, what is happening? I was like, I have no idea. So thank God it wasn't true. But to me, that was the most brilliant like marketing.
Well, the funniest part was.
Did Jersey Mike say, are you up for sale?
Well, it was funny because it was Sunday night and I was home having dinner and my phone rings. I don't answer it. And person's clearly leaving a voicemail. So it's myself, my wife, my 2 daughters are home from college. And then I look at the voicemail and it's like, hey, my name is so-and-so, the general counsel of Jersey Mike's. You need to call me back immediately.
Oh, shit.
So I called Andrew, and I never call him on a Sunday night. So clearly if I'm calling him, there's something wrong. And so I called the guy back from Jersey Mike's, the general counsel, and he was very nice at first. He was laughing. He said that he was a big fan of ours. He came all the time. He knows our stuff and loves our food, and said it's causing him a lot of problems, though, internally. Can we please take it down? And I said, tomorrow morning, we're posting the retraction. No problem. And he said, fine. great. We laughed and hung up.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, he calls me back. He's like, yeah, the owner wants it down now.
Oh, God.
Post a retraction now.
Post retraction. So I called Drew, and he's like, fine, well, don't really want to. But we posted a retraction saying, it was just a joke
Yeah.
at 9:30. And then 10 minutes later, I get another text from the guy again. He goes, no. He goes, we want the post down now. You're using our trademark, our logo,
Yeah.
and kind of threatening undertones. And so we ended up, deciding to.
By the way, it's sort of good marketing for them too. You know what I mean? In a weird way.
Well,
Yeah.
tell them about the letter. We had to recraft the whole thing that we wrote.
Oh, I mean, look, the truth is when we posted that and people started commenting and saying things, it was actually very flattering. You know, it's like you kind of forget that your brand or your business means things to people. And the upset that people had, I think made us rethink what our joke line was going to be. Because originally it was going to be something like kind of condescending to Jersey Mike's, like we would never sell out to like corporate meat pushers or something like that. And then when we saw how people were reacting, we were like, with so much like, honestly, like I don't want to say love, but like appreciation for who we are for them.
Right, and then after Jersey Mike's called us,
we recrafted it to be like, I forget exactly what it said, but like, thank you so much, and we would never sell out, and I don't remember exactly what it said,
like
but
we respect Jersey Mike's or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
it was very nice to Jersey Mike's. It was I remember
Even
I
our
don't remember
original
exactly what it
post.
said, but yeah, it was a very appropriate.
right. And even our original post, we were very careful. It's like it said like we're partnering with people who have great values.
Yeah.
So for me, when they made us take it down the day before April Fool's, I was bummed because it doesn't seem like an April Fool's joke when it all happens the day
Yeah.
before April Fool's. But we're not going to war with Jersey Mike's. We're not quite at that level yet.
No, but again, that was brilliant, and it just shows you how many people are paying attention, especially on social media. I mean, that's
Yes, I think the social media team, Social Status Co., I guess I should say their name, shout them out. They were thrilled with the results. I mean, as far as, look, good, bad, and different, I think most people spent Easter thinking of or talking about Millburn Deli. So
it was. I'm telling you, it was a thing. I was in a different time zone, so it was pretty wild.
yeah, I felt kind of bad.
So, what's next for Millburn Deli besides the expansion? Anything new on the menu coming up?
Always. We try to do something new every month, and if it catches, we keep it on the menu. We do a different special every month. What's new for Millburn Deli? Oh, there's a whole lot, actually. We're working on a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't know how interesting it is to people, but like one example is that we're going to do a whole new online ordering platform with a whole new loyalty program. We're going to have native delivery so that you can order directly from us. It's still going to be fulfilled by DoorDash.
I see.
But you don't have to go on DoorDash's website and go through that whole thing.
Yeah. A loyalty program, I think people would find interesting. Like buy like 10 sandwiches, get one free, like type of thing.
We've always talked, and I think we've avoided being kind of more discount focused.
Yeah.
And so the new loyalty program we're switching to is interesting in that it's like tiers, almost like if you're part of an airline where you like gold, silver, bronze.
Yeah.
So if you spend a certain amount of money, you'll get access to like a secret menu.
Oh,
Kind
yeah.
of more fun things and swag as opposed to like $5 off your sandwich. That'll still be there,
People
but
love a secret menu. Do you have a secret menu?
We're creating one.
We don't have an official secret menu, but there are sandwiches that are no longer on the menu that people who might know about would order.
It's like a vault.
Kind of, yeah. Like, so I'll give you one example. Don't ask me what's on it because I barely remember. I know it was turkey, roast beef, American cheese, garlic mayo. It was called the Americano.
Okay.
And it was one of the items that we tried on the menu ages ago that didn't sell so well, so we cut it. But there's like group of 5 people who love it and who will still come in and ask for the Americano. There's a few sandwiches like that people know of. But for this loyalty thing, we are creating an entire kind of separate
I think
secret
people
menu.
will love that.
Yeah, I hope so. Because it's not an inexpensive platform we're moving to, but we're trying to build out for the future and be able to compete more with the big boys.
Yeah.
It's software that was designed for chains that had 25 to 50 plus locations as opposed to
I was going to
smaller
say, is that
chains.
what you consider a big boy?
I think
For us at 4 locations.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anything more than 4 is big.
Only one more.
One more.
One more.
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, one more. So that's exciting.
Yes.
Also AI ordering
Yeah, that's so
at
freaky.
some point. I mean, it's not quite there yet for the complexity of what we have, but it's going to happen a lot quicker than people think.
Oh, so it's you would call up or It's sort of like when you do like a chat on a for like customer service somewhere, and they're asking you all the questions, but it's
Yes.
AI answering.
That, but as well as literally answering the phone and taking the order. Like we've already demoed and had our menu built out with some AI order takers. They're getting close. I know Wendy's just implemented all their drive-throughs are AI, or they're moving all of their locations to AI, so that when you pull up, it's not a human taking your order at all.
And they could AI flag when they get a weird order, like,
So that I can post it on Instagram?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Look, we have spent the last couple of days, because we're in between some stuff, messing around with the new GPT. I have no doubt that it will be able to do that.
It's
if you ask it to.
it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool.
Yes, even for our industry, it's interesting feeding it sales data and things like that, and it can give you sort of predictions for what it thinks your sales will be based on the weather and day. If you upload, X amount of previous sales. So there are things even in our industry that AI will very soon be able to help with.
Well, we had just started using, I won't mention the name of the company because they just went out of business.
Yeah.
But it was an AI predictor in terms of, we pre-make a lot of our grillers during the day. So from a speed perspective, we can get them in and out.
Yeah.
And we have certain pars that we go by, and it was analyzing all of our sales data. It would analyze the weather. It would analyze events that were taking place, and would go back, 6 months, a year, and predict how many we're going to sell on that day. And so we would make our griller pars accordingly. And we could do that for all of our side salads, for our bow tie pasta and our mac salad. It now predict. Unfortunately, they went out of business, but we both think that that's going to be
Interesting to see all the things that change, because I mean, if AI can help a food business, I can imagine what it can do in far more technical and behind the scenes type stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, okay, so we have Paramus, we have Jersey City, and Bridgewater coming up, right? I think our message is for people out there is to be kind and patient.
Always.
Yes, I think you don't realize how difficult, and look, to put out a consistent product and do it every single day and make sure that it's scalable and it's good and all that sort of stuff is incredibly hard and complex and all the things that you would imagine. And I think people have a much more simpler view when they get their food and it's not right in terms of how difficult it is.
And even though Millburn Deli has expanded and is going to continue to expand, it's still a mom and pop operation. Correct?
Yeah, I think.
Don't you want people always to feel that way, that it's like they can come in and be with the staff, and it's like, especially this Millburn location is always going to be true to
The Millburn location, I think we've always discussed internally as we grow, will be as close to the way it has always been as possible. There might be some design things in terms of the way the logo might have to change or a color might have to change, but in terms of the menu and the feel and the layout, like, Millburn will always stay original. Even when we talk about adapting menus, we largely leave Millburn out of that conversation. Again, a stupid small thing, but like our other stores, we shifted our hours. We're open from 10 to 6:30 now. We left Millburn alone, 9 to 5:30, the way it's been since the pandemic.
yeah.
So we try to, leave that. Again, one of the things I think that was unintentional along the way, and that Rich pointed out, was we have always tried to, not prioritize the guest, but our first priority has always been the staff. So when I say that, I mean, in this industry, one thing that my parents have learned and that I have learned just from stories of folks that we've hired and have come in over the years is that owners of businesses and stuff can be very tough on their staff for not great pay and not great benefits. So we have always tried to take the approach that if we take care of our staff, they will take care of our guests. And what I mean by that is, like, it's becoming more common in the industry, which is great, and I'm glad. But for years, we've had a 401k. If you're just a sandwich maker on the floor, you have a 3.5% match in a 401k. We pay for your health insurance. We pay for your vision. We pay for your dental. So if you come work here, like, you have legitimate benefits. You have a legitimate place to stay. We give people 2 weeks paid vacation time off. We try to make it as close to even the hours if you're going to be in the food industry. 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You don't get that a lot. So we've tried to focus as much on the employees, if not maybe a little more, than just the guest experience. And I hope that we can maintain that as we grow. It's certainly one of the things we talk about a lot, because it's easy as you get bigger to start cutting how much you pay, and cutting benefits.
No, but that's really nice, because I don't usually hear that,
But I will say, you asked earlier if he loved it, and I will tell you that he's never, again, when I got here 7 years ago, it was such a fascinating thing to watch, in that I don't want to say they never cared about the guests, because that's not the point, but
Yeah.
they cared infinitely more about the process and the details and the people here.
Yeah.
And it was always, old common theme, and not that the guest isn't always right, but the guest isn't always right if they're abusive or not nice.
Correct. Yeah.
And when I first got here, more than anything, Andrew and his family had a maniacal focus on protecting the staff, even if it meant getting rid of a guest who wasn't being nice, as opposed to bending over backwards for the guest at the expense of the staff. That was never done here.
Oh, it's so true, because it's everyone always says the guest is, the customer is always right, but it isn't always the case.
No, and I would say it was that vibe in terms of the employees being taken care of, all the way through to the vendors. I mean, they've had vendors that they have worked with for 27 years now.
Wow.
And we have been given opportunities to switch to new vendors, and the savings would be $50,000, $70,000. And I'm not saying that lightly, but we don't switch because we value
It's loyalty.
the loyalty, and we value what they can do. And it's, the devil you know versus the devil you don't. And
Yeah.
quality starts to slip and all that sort of stuff. And so it has always been a maniacal focus on details and vendors and employees first. And the guest experience was a byproduct of all that stuff working really well.
It's amazing. It's amazing. You guys are very nice.
Depends on the day.
Depends on who you ask.
You guys are very nice. No, I thank you so much for sitting with me today. And I hope if someone who's listening has never tried Millburn Deli, which I think would be really weird at this point, but come say hi. Are you on the floor now still?
Occasionally,
Yeah.
I do like to be involved, so I walk the floor. I do occasionally work the floor just to keep my skills sharp, so to speak.
Yeah, Rich definitely not.
Rich definitely not. No, that's actually not true.
I will work on like the QC portion of things, like with bags and like cash register. But
Yeah.
that's the extent.
Well, say hi to the staff
Of course.
and be nice to the staff.
Always be nice to the staff. And look, if there's ever anything wrong, we want to make it right. I mean, I don't know what else to say. We're in the hospitality business. We want to make people's day better. And if we mess up their day by getting an order wrong, we want to hopefully make that up to them.
Right, because I think one of the tenets we've always said is that people come here when they're having a shitty day, they want to make it better.
Yeah.
When they're having a good day, they want to make it really, really great.
Yeah.
When they're having a great day, they want to make it amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you guys so much. This
Thank
was
you.
like such a gift for me. So I know you don't think it is, but it is. This was so nice. Thank you.
Thank you for having interest in talking to us and getting me out of my hermit cave.
You did a great job.
We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
Of course, thank you.
If you are hearing this message, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I'm truly grateful for you and this opportunity. The purpose of the Behind the Counter podcast is to bring food, people, and community together. I hope you'll return for more episodes and explore with me. I want to personally thank Fran Linnell of Design 68 for my amazing Behind the Counter podcast logo, and Travis Lohenberg for my awesome Behind the Counter music, and all the guests that take their time to sit and talk with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you hear your podcasts. If you'd like to support the Behind the Counter podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends and family, and you can follow me on Instagram at Heidi Blum. If you have any feedback or stories that you want to share, you can email me at foodsarbtc@gmail.com.